episode of the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show. I am so excited that y'all are here with me today. We are going to be talking all about how to manifest what you want and actually get it. I'm really excited about this conversation, and I have the most amazing guest for today's show, and we will get into who that is right after this. Yes. Okay. So, Chelsey Parkinson, welcome to the show. Yay! Well, this is your friend of the show. Guys, this is not your first time on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey show. And we are actually very good friends. And we work together. So you're one of the few people that I talk to almost every single day. And so I'm so excited that you're here on the show to talk about a little bit of manifestation.
Yeah, I am so stoked to be here. Manifestation is one of my favorite topics because it is so misunderstood. And there are so many people out there teaching it in ways where I think a lot of the population is frustrated by manifestation because they're missing some key pieces. And I love to fix that for people.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So for everybody in the audience, if they've never, heard of you or before, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So, Dr. Kiki already mentioned, I am Chelsey Parkinson, and in my day-to-day, I am the Director of Coaching and Training for the Positive Psychology Coaching and Diversity Institute, of which Dr. Kiki is the CEO. And so I manage coaches and build training and get to spend all of my time doing fantastic programming to help organizations be the best versions of themselves. And then I also own a private coaching practice as well, where I see clients primarily one-on-one and focus really on just up-leveling life and helping people get the kinds of results that they see other people getting and finally get for themselves.
Yes, I love that too. I mean, your clients are so lucky and blessed to have you. And so tell us what your biggest superpower is.
So I think my clients would say that my biggest superpower is being able to see what's going on real quick. I have a good, I think it's not like a lie detector because my clients aren't lying to me, but a lot of the times I can get to what's going on really quickly, which saves us from sugarcoating and dancing around issues. We can get to what's really going on and then we can work with it and we can solve it and we can address it much faster instead of, trying to fix things that probably aren't the actual issue.
Yeah, I have that problem with my house, but
I
okay.
was just thinking about how that sounds like I wish that I could use that superpower to fix your plumbing right now.
Yeah, so I mean, me too. But that's another day. Another day. We're gonna see if that works another day. Well, let's hop into manifestation because honey, it is a whole buzzword. You be hearing people talk about manifest this and manifest that. But I really want you to get into like what is the real definition of manifestation?
Yeah. So, at its core, manifestation is about being able to see the opportunities that exist for you and taking them, which it sounds simple, right? Oh, well, there's all these opportunities that have been presented to me. Let me just go and chase them. But there are so many reasons why that doesn't happen. And if you were to hop on the Instagrams or any of those things right now, you'd really be fed that manifestation is about vibes and energy and all of these things, which it is. But vibes and energy don't take action. They don't get you what you actually want.
Mm-hmm.
So manifestation at its core is being able to act on opportunities that the universe, God, whomever your higher power is, has popped in front of you.
So I love that because, a lot of times manifestation seems so like woo woo, like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna just, say some happy thoughts and just magically I'm gonna be able to manifest what I want. If that was the case, I'd be to manifest 50 billion trillion skillion dollars.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? I think we all would have manifest that. So but a lot of people do think it's just positive thinking. And we are no strangers to positive thinking,
Of course.
positive psychology, because that's the framework that we use in terms of coaching. But
Mhm.
what are some misconceptions around like manifestation when it comes to like just positive thinking or any other misconceptions?
Yeah. So thoughts are just not enough. And I think that's the problem is that people have received manifestation as this idea that if I just think it enough or want it enough, it will land in my lap. And from a high level, that is a portion of
Mm.
how this works, but it's only a very small portion, and it sets people up for failure because want is not equal to belief. You can want a thing as much as you can want it, but if you don't believe you can have it, you don't act on it. So it's missing the piece of how we actualize a desire into a belief system. And it also doesn't help people understand why thoughts become behaviors. Why does thinking positively, why does thinking about $1 million, why does thinking about a hot body, like why does thinking about those things get you what you want? It's missing how we go from thoughts to actions, which is
Mm.
then how we manifest it, right? Like the universe will understand or God will understand that you want a thing. But if
Mm-hmm.
you don't believe that the thing is coming for you, you won't even see the opportunity that's like plopped in front of your brain.
Ooh, I mean, that is so true. I mean, I've had my fair share of like dealing in manifestation in terms of abundance and all that kind of stuff. But you know, I think that people get it wrong when we talk about positive thinking. If you do think negatively all the time, why do you think good things are going to come to you?
Right.
Right? Like, so I know that it's not all about positive thinking, and most people are missing the action portion of it. But the truth is, if you think negatively all the time, boo,
That's what you create.
it's what you create. Like it's what you see. It is the world that you live in. It is your reality. And I think that we need to understand that. Because I think a lot of times we just don't understand that. So what role does clarity and intention play in this process?
Yeah. So I'm going to root this back to a little bit of cognition and neuroscience and introduce the topic of confirmation bias.
Ah,
Because confirmation bias is where we seek to be right, and it's what we
mm,
see. And if you think about it as blinders, right, it's what we believe about the world, and so we see what we believe, right? If we believe certain things, we will see those things, and it's what we look for. It's like putting a GPS address in, right? You're going
mm,
to drive towards that address. So clarity on the difference between what you want and what you believe you can have is really important, because if those are not aligned and intentional,
yeah.
you're not going after it, right? You're going to go after what you believe. So if you want to be a pop singer, for example, but all you think about is how much you want it, but it's not possible for you, and you're so jealous of other people who are doing it, there's no clarity or intentionality in that. There's
Mm,
just want, which is, I think about want kind of like putting the key in the ignition of your car. It'll turn it on, but that's it. And then you're sitting in a car that's going nowhere, right? You
right.
have to be able to then turn that into an intentionally designed belief system that that thing exists for you. And if you don't do
Mm,
that, you're not going to take action. Desire is not an action emotion. Desire is an ignition emotion. It tells
mm,
you, I could be really interested in this, but you have a gap between identifying the want
mm-hmm.
and implanting the belief system so that you actually act on the belief system. If you don't think it's
Mm.
for you, why would you go after it?
This is true. This is so true. And so, okay, so you're talking about like want and action and beliefs and everything like that. How do we put that all together for someone who really wants to start manifesting a different life?
Yeah. I always teach people that the difference between want and belief is your level of self trust.
Mm.
If you don't trust yourself, it's really hard to believe that you can have the thing that you want. If you don't trust yourself to take action, if you don't trust yourself to even see that it's possible, if all you're doing is sitting in, well, I want it, that's great. That's a first step. It's a fantastic first step. But we've got to do the work internally to believe that we can have it, whether that's seeing other people who have it and seeing that it's possible,
Yeah.
whether that's looking at all of our strengths, all of the reasons that you already have the ingredients in your pantry to get the thing. We have to shift that want and settle it into our being that we believe it is for us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that, I think a lot of people would name that as delusion. I love delusion. I think delusion is fantastic because being delusional is how anybody gets those things that you say are delusional. You have
Mhm.
to be delusional at first because you've never achieved that level of thing. So
Right.
you got to get real delusional, just like a kid who's like, well, one day I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to be a dancer and I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. You have to be so rooted in that identity shift
Yeah.
that you then go and take action in service of that. Because again, if you don't believe you can have it, the universe and God may have dumped it in front of your face, but you're not going to see it.
You know, what you're saying to me resonates so deeply. But what I feel like most people have, and even I had it before I could start getting the things that I wanted and manifesting, the life that I have, is that belief in myself, that self trust in myself, like even feeling worthy of having the things. Like I did a show on overcoming the poverty mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And the part, the issue that most of us, especially women, we have about making more money is overcoming the fact that we are even worthy enough to make more freaking money,
Right.
and you and I see it all the time because we coach women all the time who have this block about money and getting to the next place. But part of that block is that we don't even believe that we deserve the money. I used to do this exercise at one of my conferences, and it was based on money. And I would have people, it's mainly women, write out how much money they wanted to make every month. And I would have women sitting there calculating their bills
Right.
and all of this stuff. I didn't ask them to do that. I said, how much money do you want to make? But they're sitting here calculating their bills so that they would see how much money is enough
Right.
versus answering the question and really thinking that they were worthy to have 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 a month, or, beyond,
Yep.
right? And so my question is, how do we build up that belief? How do we build up to get to the place of worthiness? Because I think that's the main challenge that a lot of us have.
Yeah, we don't believe that it's possible for us because
Yeah.
we don't think that we're worth it or we don't think that we're capable of it or any of those things. So for our clients, what we always lean into is bringing people back to what they have done and what strengths they do have instead of
Hmm.
their deficit mindset of, well, of course you haven't done $40,000 a month yet. You won't have done it until you've done it. So
Hmm.
your ability to connect with that is going to be slim. And I think too many people are getting themselves caught up in the outcome
Yeah.
instead of the way the outcome is going to make them feel. And
Yeah.
so I always like to bring people into two places. One, what strengths do you already have? What have you already done? Like what's already in your life toolkit that is a good indicator that you can go and do this thing?
Yeah.
Because most people have way more examples of resilience and strength and problem solving than they give themselves credit for, but they compartmentalize. They don't think that this amazing thing they did over here as a parent translates into becoming a fantastic entrepreneur, for example. And you and I both know that that is not the case. Like your skills and your strengths are your skills and your strengths, regardless of where you're choosing to apply them. So helping people take a whole life approach to what they've done, take a whole life approach to their skills and their wins, and realize how thing A translates into getting thing B is so powerful because it automatically gives you self-evidence.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I wasn't thinking about, how I came out of postpartum and, ran my household, went to work, did all of these things as the fact that I'm resilient and resourceful enough to run $1 million company. We
Yeah.
don't think about how those things fit together. So that's one answer is really like I have all of my clients write what I call like their badass list. Like I want you to go and
Ooh.
write all of these things that you have done. I don't care how far back you go in your life. I don't care how far away it feels from the goal that we're talking about today. Write out every really cool achievement, no matter how small, that you've done. And I make them do this for weeks because
Ooh.
the list gets long.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to see these things that you glossed over, that you stepped past, that you didn't celebrate. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not celebrate the heck out of yourself like that?
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
we believe in that, right?
Yeah.
Or like celebrating. And I think too, even I'll fall into the trap of not celebrating my wins or even small wins or something like that.
Yeah.
And or I'll look at the bigger picture and I'm like, I'm not there yet. So therefore I haven't done enough
Right.
to actually celebrate because I ain't where I want to be,
Hmm.
not realizing, boo, you done more than most.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and I
And you
think
took action already.
yes, for a lot of women, we've taken that action. But I love what you said about, really tapping into our strengths. At PCADI, we really believe that, we have to tap into those strengths. And we've already done a lot of things. We haven't just been sitting around our whole life twiddling our thumbs.
Right. Right. You
Like,
have a lot of ingredients already. I kind of use the pantry as an example of like, you have so many ingredients in your pantry already that are going to be part of the recipe for making what you want to make. You probably have more ingredients than you think you do. And you're out there going to the grocery store trying to collect all these new ingredients, thinking you don't have any of this,
mhm,
instead of taking stock of, oh, wait, I've already got problem solving skills. Oh, wait, I already know how to overcome hard things. Oh, wait, I know how to take action before I feel ready. Like you have so many of these things already
yeah.
because we don't slow down. And I think with women in particular, we don't slow down and celebrate because we're afraid of complacency. We're afraid,
Mhm,
like, if I celebrate this small thing, I'm making the small thing okay.
yeah. Oh.
Instead of, I'm celebrating the small thing so that I signal to my brain, it feels good to win. Let's keep doing it. So
Mm.
when you skip over it, all you're doing is telling your brain, we don't care how much we do. It's never going to be enough. Why would
Yeah.
you want to do more if that's how you're receiving your life?
Exactly. Like you gotta.
Yeah.
So, you know, as we really get to that place of worthiness and then we kind of like understand that we got to, set some intentions, take some action. What are some, like common reasons why people get stuck after they actually do set an intention to take some action? Because
Yeah.
we'd be like, oh, I'm about to do this. Said that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And hi, Mardell. Thanks for joining us live on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey show. Tell us where you are joining us from. But yeah, why do we get stuck? We be
Yeah.
making these grand, like we about to do this, and then we don't do this.
Yeah. I think a couple of reasons. One, you don't have great people in your network where if you go and share your big dream with them, because they have their own self-limiting beliefs and their own stuff, they make it small or say, you're crazy,
Mhm.
like you can't do that. So having the right people in your network is really important. Somebody
Yeah.
who will hype you up, who doesn't care how crazy it is. Looking at you, Dr. Ramsey,
I know, I know.
who's gonna get on that boat with you and keep rowing until you get there. You need to
As
have
you
that
have done.
person, right? Not that I would know what it's like to be that person,
I
but you
love
need to
time
have,
and time again.
right? So you need to have that person. But I think too, the other reason that people get stuck is they don't think about all of the small steps and
Mhm.
how each step is a step. Like, how am I going to celebrate every single win? You have to. The pitfall for most people is we don't plan for winning and we don't plan how to be in relationship with the win. So when it happens, most of us just gloss over it. We don't sit in the emotion of it and we just move on.
Mm.
And so then we keep going and eventually we burn out because now there's no good feelings. Now your brain is going, wait a minute, we thought this was going to feel so good. It doesn't feel good. You have to stop expecting the thing to make you feel and you have
Oh.
to start owning your emotional experience, right? Like, I'm going to choose to be so excited about this one client that I signed. I'm going to choose to be so excited about paying off my credit card $1,000. Whatever it is, emotions are active. It's your responsibility to teach your brain that we get excited when we do this thing so that we want to do more things so that we're always excited. And I think people stall out because they're not owning the active,
Mhm.
proactive approach to emotions. And I
Mhm.
always you've heard me tell our coaches this 1,000 times, I tell our clients this, everything you're doing is to run towards or run away from an emotion. Every single thing. I don't care what it is. It's the snack that you have at 3 p.m., or it's when you avoid calling your mom because you don't want to talk to her. Like, all of those things are about how you want to feel. And so if you aren't integrating that into your planning, you're not going to have any sustainability when things take longer than you thought, or, things get
Yeah.
derailed. You won't have that sustainability.
But and I agree, right? But what we've realized in all of our many years of coaching as well is that most people don't know how to manage, to regulate, to
Yeah.
handle emotions.
Nope. No
Like,
one thought that.
I mean, we've coached so many people, and we're like, wow, you know, like wow, like, but not even to put people down. Like, I just really don't think that we've learned.
Mhm.
And so, if you could give us some hacks, right, on how to really learn how to regulate, manage, or get us to an emotional state where we can even show up for ourselves, what would some of those be?
Yeah. So the question I always ask every client when we're setting a goal is, how do you want to experience this goal?
Mm,
Because if you can't answer that in advance, you're not going to have the experience you want to have, which is how we end up in the goal and it's not enough.
mm,
Because we expected the goal was going to make us feel that way. Nope, emotions are a habit, y'all. So if nobody has ever taught you emotions, which is normal, we've been taught to leave emotions out of everything, right? They're not
mm,
supposed to be involved in anything. And yet, they are the most unique aspect of being human versus any other species on the earth. And so deciding in advance, I want to experience the journey to $1 million excited or peaceful, or pick the thing, pick the word, and then start to figure out where you've already felt that. Like, how do you even know what
oh,
that feels like for you?
yeah.
How are you when you're excited? What does it look like? Where does it show up in your body? You have to get familiar with the thing that you're telling yourself $1 million is going to make you feel, and you need to start practicing it along the entire journey, because I hate to break it to y'all, but the result is actually the smallest part of the process, right? Getting to
Mhm,
the $1 million, that's going to be a drip over time of
mhm.
climbing the staircase, and it's going to be this quick, and that's it. Then you've made the $1 million, right? It's like getting married. Your wedding is one day,
Yep.
and then it's over, and that's it, right?
No,
Like, that's
it's
it.
30 minutes. It's
Right.
15 minutes.
It's so quick. And it's a whole to do, and it's so quick, and then you move on, right? Every goal is pretty much like that. So if you
Mhm,
don't decide in advance and get really familiar with how you feel and how you experience an emotion, then you're
mhm.
going to get to that goal and you're not going to feel. There's so many millionaires and so many successful people who will say, I got the goal and I felt nothing, and so then I went to do the next.
Mm,
Ugh,
yeah.
how
Yeah. No, I had that question one time. I was doing a speaking engagement, and a woman came on and she was like, Dr. Kiki, I have all the things. I have, I've been pretty successful in my career. I have a really great family. Why is it that I still feel inadequate?
Yeah, because that's what you think.
And yeah, and I was like, "Oh, like this is a muscle that we have to
Yes.
practice."
Yes.
And there's something to be said about even contentment,
Yeah.
right? Right? Like, contentment is reaching the goal and savoring the moment and being like, "This is good." Like,
Yeah.
I'm I'm satisfied with this. And a lot of people think with contentment that you can't want further goals.
Right. They conflate it with complacency.
They do. And it's not complacency. Would you explain the difference, for us? And hey, Demetra, thanks for joining us live on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey show.
So, emotions have clusters and spectrums, right? So, if you think about clusters of emotions, they are emotions that share common nervous system responses, share the way that they show up in your body, and share the type of things that you respond to them in. And contentment actually sits in the same line as happiness. It does
Mm-hmm.
not sit in the same line as complacency.
Yeah.
Complacency is a whole different emotion, but we have been taught that if we're not constantly grinding and constantly striving and looking for the next thing,
Yeah.
that there's something wrong with us. So the idea of being content, that I am okay with what I've got now, has been conflated with, but that means you won't grow. That means you won't want anything else. That means you'll stay stuck, which maybe you want to stay stuck. Maybe, for that example with that person you were talking to, having all of the things is fantastic and you are content and you don't want more or to change things. What
Yep.
if that's your truth? What if that's who you are authentically, right? So understanding that even complacency doesn't have to be a negative,
Yeah.
but complacency and contentment are not the same. Contentment sits on the spectrum of the happiness scale, where it's towards the lower end of emotions with happiness and joy and elated, all of those things, but it still sits in the same line. So if you are content, you are happy, a lesser degree of happy with the results that you've gotten. And something that I always argue with my clients when they try to play the complacency card is that if you don't want what you already have, explain to me how you're going to have what you want. Because
Woo!
I know what it's like to feel having what I want. So you're going to arrive at this goal that you're telling me you want, but you don't actually know what it's like to have what you want. So you're going to get this goal and you're telling me that the goal is going to teach you how to
Yeah.
have what you want? I don't think so.
No, that's so true because we're like, oh, I'm so not okay with where I'm at. It's you know, I just want to be in another place. I'm supposed to be in another place and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. But if you had not, if you can't find the joy
Yep.
even in where you're at,
Yep.
how you gonna find the joy when you get there?
You don't even know what it looks like.
And right, you don't even know what the joy looks like. Even oh my
What
God,
is joy? What is joy?
what is
And that's why I take my clients through the exercise of curating emotions early on, because you got to know what you're looking for. It's like trying to explain to somebody what chocolate tastes like, and you put a whole bunch of foods in front of them, and that they've never eaten, and you think that they're going to know which one chocolate is if they've never tasted it. Like that's
no?
not how this works. You have to have experienced
Yep.
the thing to recognize it when it shows up and to grow it. If you want to be elated or joyful when you get the goal, that joy and that elation has to be stimulated the entire journey, because otherwise you're
Mm.
going to be very disappointed when the emotion that you feel when you get the goal is flat.
Oh my God.
That's where you've been.
We've been there before. I've been there before. And I was like,
Me too.
oh, okay, this feel good. But then it's the hedonic, will, right? Like, the hedonic, will. And it always says that your emotions will go back to the level that they were
Right.
before, right? Like, and so you could get $100,000 or $1 million, but at some point your level of happiness is gonna go back to your baseline of what it was before, which
Mm-hmm.
is the reason why they say, people say that $70,000 is about the threshold for like happiness. Like beyond $70,000, you're not going to be any more happier than you were before you got the $70,000. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, why don't you just try me?" Right? Like, go ahead and give me $1 million.
Yeah.
I'll show you. But it's the truth. Like we have to experience that. So hey, Nicole and Doctor, for joining us live on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey show. I am so happy that y'all are here. Well, me and you can talk about this forever. But before we hop off, you are going to be one of the speakers at my Thrive 25 Women's Conference right here in Atlanta, Georgia on April. No, Lord, I said April. It is past. Yeah, not April. July 12th and 13th. And so what we're doing is giving ladies a sneak peek of what they're going to get at this conference. And you've been super ultra successful. You helped me run this company right now when we do extremely well. And so I really want to, before we go though, I want to talk about manifestation and abundance,
Mm-hmm.
because that's part of what we're going to be talking about at Thrive 25 is like, how do you actually really live an abundant life? And I'm talking about money. I'm talking about opportunities. I'm talking about all those things. And a lot of high achieving women, they face fear and blocks in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about like, what do you think abundance in that area, how do we manifest that
Yeah.
when it comes to our money and opportunities?
When I work with clients who are struggling to reach their next threshold with money, it is oftentimes because we have underlying stories about worth, capacity, or we've never seen that much money before. or have watched people handle that money badly or treat people badly when they make more money. So we have to get underneath the belief systems that we have about ourselves with money, not just money itself. That's a whole other layer of mindsets and belief systems. But generally the one that's holding you back is your idea of yourself with that money. And if your storyline is anything like, well, I don't know how to have that much money. I don't know how to be in a relationship with that much money. Oh my gosh, like I could never handle that much money. We got to work on those because you don't know that. You've never had that much money. How do you know? How do you know how you're going to be in a relationship with that much money? So the idea of abundance is really, again, about self-trust.
Yeah.
That you believe that you can be in relationship with that thing, that you believe that you can hold that thing, that you are worthy of that thing. And if you don't have those belief systems in place, it's going to be really hard to manifest anything because, again, we're not working from a belief system. Belief systems are where we take actions from.
Yeah.
So abundance, you have to have self-love and self-trust to have abundance, because in order to attract more, you have to believe that you are a vessel that is worthy of and has the capacity to be in relationship with more. But if you're constantly self-deprecating and self-denigrating and picking yourself apart, God and or the universe is going to go, oh no, like, you don't think that you're enough. You don't think that you as a being, as an energetic being, are abundant. How do you know what abundant even is? How are you going to handle abundance if you are refusing to treat yourself like an energetic being that is abundant? So we have to really start with our own self approach to abundance before we even ever think about our relationship with money.
I love that. And I think that you hit the nail on the head. I remember when I was trying to rewrite my money story, right? Because when you grow up in a poverty mindset, I grew up with the sayings, money don't grow on trees,
Right.
and we don't have enough, and there's just not enough for that this month, or that kind of thing. And so that's kind of the mindset that I grew up with, is that there's never enough.
Right.
Right? There's never enough. Like, there's never, I'm saying, enough, right? And so, even into my adulthood, even when I got married, there was never enough. Like, somebody was always going to come take my money, and all that. And I had to really first get clear about what I wanted my money story to be, like who I wanted to be. Because for me, somewhere deep inside, I always knew I was going to be a millionaire. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I always wanted to be a millionaire. I always I didn't know how I was going to ultimately get there, but I'm like, it's got to be a way, because there's so many people in the world getting there. But one of the things that you just said is I had to really sit with myself. I had to get with me, because baby, I was the one blocking my blessings, and even even so much so, opportunities could come, and I would think that they were not for me, or no, they not talking about me.
Right, like, I can't do that. That's not me.
That's not me. I can't do
Why
that.
are you counting yourself out? Other people will count you out a ton. Why would you add to that and go count yourself out on top of it?
That part I was doing, and I used to drive Jamil crazy. He'd be like, what are you? And so a lot of times we don't see ourselves as other people see us.
Right.
Right. But I had to sit back and do some work on me. I started doing a lot of journaling. For me, me, I, started reading the Bible. I started just being with myself in quiet time, because I needed to overcome this, because otherwise I was never going to get to that millionaire status.
That me time that you just mentioned is so key. And I force all of my clients to build it into their schedules, because you are not going to get more by doing more from the same mindset, because your habit stack is built on I'm not enough. So your habits aren't built to support what you're trying to create, right? It's like yo-yo diets or other places in your life that you are just continuously doing. You got to stop the doing and you got to sit in some being. You got to sit, like, your brain is the computer that creates the output. And so if your output is jacked up, you got to walk back to, wait, what are the programs that are running? What windows do I have open? What apps do I have in my brain? You got to go back and spend some time rewriting the code, if you will, so that the output that you're getting actually matches what you want. And I think that's a mistake that women make, is we are so chronically busy and chronically overstimulated, and you're confusing taking misaligned action because I'm doing more, so I should get more, right? As a bodybuilder, I can tell you, I spent the first 5 years of my bodybuilding career doing every fad diet and every bizarre workout and do this to get bigger glutes. Ugh, ridiculous. You know what actually got my butt on stage and competitive was doing the same things aligned for 14 months, and it changed everything. It was slow and it was specific, and I got exactly what I wanted in the end because I didn't come off course. I had a commitment to, I believe that I'm going to get in this shape, and my actions were aligned with my belief systems and my desires.
I and you were beautiful, gorgeous, honey.
Shredded.
Just shredded, honey. I love that. No, it's so very true. Like doing the consistent thing over and over again is what's going to get us to where we need to be in
Yep.
our thoughts, in our
Yep.
actions. And I know, you know me. I'm the shiny object syndrome person. But where I found the most success is slowing my butt down and just being.
Yep.
So I love that message. All right, so we have come into a close here, but what I really, I'm so excited that you are coming all the way from Florida to be with us at the Thrive 25 Women's Conference. So tell us what you hope to bring to the women at the conference. This is just a little snippet, honey.
Yeah. I am hoping to bring some reality about coming out of the 9 to 5 grind, coming out of feeling like you can't be your authentic self and letting other people shrink you into things that you think are just going to be the way that it is for you. And changing that story and how one decision, an aligned decision that comes from self-belief, can change absolutely everything. I look at the last 6 years of my life building a 7-figure coaching company, working inside PPCaDI. I am worth several $1,000,000 in my real estate portfolio, like things that if you had told me even 6 years ago when I first came into this journey that I would be coming to talk to women about how where you come from doesn't have to dictate where you go, I would have laughed at you and said, I'm sorry, there's no way that you're going to tell me that I own all that property and do all of those things and I only work 4 days a week and get to spend as much time with my kid as I want. What? And I want to be able to give that realistic, like not just, oh my gosh, I make so much money, my life is so perfect. No, but to be able to walk you through predictably and with a framework, just like I do with all of my clients, how you get from I'm not satisfied with my current situation to a believable path to creating whatever you want. I tell clients all the time, the only reason I'm special is that I stopped waiting to feel ready and I decided I was ready and I just started taking action from that place. That's it. That's the only thing that differentiates me from everybody else who grew up in, a standard middle class family, went to college, did all of the right things, and now lives a completely different life than the way that the stars looked like they were aligned.
Ooh, you said stop waiting to be ready and decide that you're ready, honey. You
It's
is
a
ready.
decision.
I love that. I love that. Well, y'all heard it here today on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show. Chelsey is going to bring the fire at the Thrive 25 Women's Conference. Tell us what's going on with you other than that and where people can get in contact with you.
Yeah, so other things that go on with me. So as I mentioned earlier, I work for PPCaDI and I also run my own private coaching company. You can connect with me on the Instagrams if you are so interested at C Parko. And I talk about all of these things every day, pretty much in my content about ways to switch your mindset, become ready and take action. I'm heavy on the action taking because I really believe that we can reshape our whole internal landscape just by proving ourselves wrong with the actions that we take.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And so y'all heard it here. You will be able to meet Chelsey at the Thrive 25 Women's Conference coming up July 12th and
Come hang
13th
out.
right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on out and see us. And in the meantime, I invite you to join our community, Thrive Society. If you just go on over to kikiramsey.com and click on the link for Thrive Society, we would love to welcome you into the community as we are gearing up for the conference. All right, y'all. Thank you, friend, for being here with me today.
Of course.
And thank everybody for being here live with us on the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show. If this episode was helpful for you, please go ahead and share it with someone who you care about. And I hope to see y'all at Thrive 25. All right, y'all. Talk to you later. Peace.
Bye.